SummerSlam concluded last night, and Phil and I are going to give everyone our analysis of it. And we're going to start with not only the main event, but the big surprise at the end, Brock Lesnar coming out with his theme song. And when was the last time you could say Brock Lesnar was a face? And what an exciting pop at the very end. I think everybody knew, even though the match was going to be good, Cena and Roman, that Cena would go down for the 3-second tan, which he did. But then the Brock pop at the end, that was some good stuff. You got to assume that they're going to drag it out to probably Crown Royal and put that match in Saudi Arabia, because you have a September pay-per-view local in the States, or millions and millions of dollars for Brock to cash in on in Saudi Arabia. I think that's why we'll see Brock versus Roman there. But what a pop, what a reaction. I didn't see it coming. I didn't even think he had signed. I hadn't even heard any rumors of him being signed. Phil, if you want to talk about the main event, fine. If you want to talk about Brock, fine. If you want to combine it all, go right ahead.
Well, we just got to hit with Brock right there at the end. Yeah, the rumors were that Brock was going to come back and take on Bobby Lashley. And then that fell through about a month ago, and they had to go with plan B, which was Goldberg. So when that fell through, like, okay, who thought Brock was going to come back? Not me, because they'd already taken away his manager. And we all know Brock has zero mic skills. So I don't know how they're going to play that around. But it was a perfect lead in with him coming in at the end. Brock looked like he's been hitting the weights, and with that new hairstyle, he looks badass. And the beard. So I got to give it to Brock. He made an entrance. He made his presence known. And that's what we needed, because I was sitting here going like, okay, now we beat Cena. What's next for Roman until he can take on The Rock at WrestleMania next year? We got 6 months with nothing going on. Nope. Now he's got Brock Lesnar to keep it interesting. So I think it's great. And I think you're 100% correct. It's going to be over in Saudi Arabia, because that's what they're paying for. They're paying for Brock Lesnar.
The other big pop was the man, Becky Lynch, returned. I like the setup. They bring Carmella in, and I'm like, crap, I don't want to see this again. We can watch this on any SmackDown. And then the man's theme song hits, beats the crap out of Carmella, and then we get Bianca Belair to job. A lot of people on the internet were not happy about that. Personally, I'm happy that Becky Lynch has the belt around her. I don't care if it was a 4-second match. I know you gave it an F. I gave it an A.
Look, I got to stick with my principles. What did I give Bobby Lashley's squash match? Same grades. So I've got to, and I love Becky Lynch. The man is the man. She saved SummerSlam for me. It was hard for me to stay awake at that point. I thought all the matches up until that point were either bad or eh. And Becky Lynch coming out really woke me up, saved SummerSlam, and had me interested again. But having a squash match for the championship at a big pay-per-view, I've got to be consistent. The same thing I thought about Bobby Lashley, the same thing I think here. You don't have squash matches on big pay-per-views, and you just can't do it. And even though Becky Lynch, great, everything went great, but you can't do it. You can have a squash match on SmackDown. You cannot have a squash match on a pay-per-view. Can't do it.
So one of my favorite things, and a lot of the quote-unquote younger viewers probably didn't appreciate fully, Edge went brood. He came out to the Gangrel theme song. He rose up. They had to build a stage in Allegiant Stadium for that. He came into the Gangrel theme song. It was all dark and vampire-like. Then it went blank and black. And then it was, You Think You Know Me. And then that's when he got the true pop. I love the Edge entrance, 10.0 on that. And Phil, I think you also would agree that if this wasn't the match of the night, it was number 2, only behind Cena and Reigns. Either way, both of these guys, A performances.
Well, I did predict that Rollins and Edge would be the match of the night. They would steal it. I've got to stick with that first opinion that I had 2 weeks ago. They stole it. Rollins and Edge stole it. They are two of the best people that have ever stepped into the ring about telling a story, moving along a match. And Edge is past his prime by far. And he was still able to feed off of Rollins, and Rollins didn't have to carry him that much. So it was a great match. I thought it was the match of the night. I originally, when I saw the match, I was, I really don't like Edge winning because that kind of leaves Rollins just out there in limbo. But no, it worked out right. You have to have Edge winning that match. So, because Rollins, he doesn't need to win. He can carry himself on that. But it was a great match. I mean, they kept it going. They did all kinds of finishing moves. They did everything. They even invented a couple things. And they moved it from A to B to C to D and made it happen. So I thought it was the match of the night.
All right. And you said now where does Seth go from here? I was going to bring that up next. So I'm glad you brought that up as well. Edge, we're going to assume we'll see him at Royal Rumble-ish time. And maybe we'll see him again around December. Rollins, I'm thinking his next storyline needs to be against Big E.
It could be, but are you going to have Rollins lose to Big E? I mean, Big E's getting a big push. So if he's still getting his push, then Rollins would have to lose and elevate him. And you can't have a guy, if he's going to be important to you, you can't have him lose every single rivalry, every single month. Then he turns into Baron Corbin.
I was about to say it because that person's name is Baron Corbin.
Correct. And Baron Corbin is very
Harden.
good in the ring. He's very good in the ring. But you can't have a guy lose every time through there and just be a talent evaluator to elevate people up. You can't do it.
All right. So devil's advocate then. Rollins is going to win his next storyline. What face does he beat up on then?
I have no clue because I was predicting that after this, Rollins would turn, be a face, and take on Roman. But that's obviously not going to happen now that they got Lesnar back. So, and that since him and Becky Lynch are married, they've got her on SmackDown, so Rollins can't slip over to Raw and make something happen there. He's got to stay with SmackDown.
And they just brought Finn Balor in, so they're definitely not going to let Finn Balor lose.
Correct.
Because Finn Balor, I think, is going to be the September storyline with Roman.
Yep. And we could be looking at a Finn Balor, Seth Rollins deal. Don't know. And then have Seth. I think you might be right. I think they might just have Rollins put in there as just somebody to rise up talent and have him lose. And that's a shame because he's a top guy.
On the Raw brand, I saw it. One of my buddies on the internet, shout out to James Williams, press conference buddy for covering UCLA football. He saw it as well. When they were trying to do the jackhammer and Goldberg landed on the jackhammer, did you see the ankle go? And I think that turned the storyline into basically the referee pushing up the X.
It just reminds me of that Undertaker match with Goldberg in Saudi Arabia where it was a disaster. This is another disastrous Goldberg match. These guys in their 50s, they can't do it. They can't. No, do it. You have to put them with a guy that can carry them. Like the Undertaker finishing up with AJ Styles. There you go. I mean, that's the perfect guy to carry an older star. Seth Rollins would be a perfect guy. Daniel Bryan's no longer with the company, but he could carry a guy. You really have to have one of your consummate professional ring guys that can carry an older guy, maybe a Cesaro. And it's just a shame. Watch that whole match. It was a disaster. It really was. And I was being really generous of giving that match a C. And I gave it a C because it really was interesting because I left that match going like, he beat up his kid. Where the hell are they going with this now? This is kind of crazy. I mean, there's nothing too left on this. It's just a mess.
And if you have to say the last main event, if that is such a thing, we all assumed this would happen. It did happen. Charlotte won the triple threat match, cleanly pinning Nikki ASH. I don't know if the Nikki ASH brand is now going to sort of fade away or at least into the sunset. Now, I guess we're going to bring back the Charlotte Rhea Ripley because Rhea Ripley was left clean in that whole incident. So, or do we have a rematch at Night of Champions or Extreme Rules, whatever's next, Extreme Rules, where Nikki goes Charlotte one-on-one? The match itself was fine. There was nothing wrong with the match, but I hate saying it was predictable, but it was predictable.
It was, and I really want to see a Rhea Ripley Charlotte Flair match. They're both great workers in the ring. You don't need gimmicks. You don't need a third party. You don't need anything else. Just put those two ladies in the ring and let them beat the crap out of each other, and they'll put forth the effort and have an entertaining match. Leave it up to them. Don't try to make it more than what it is. Just let the talent do what the talent does.
Quick shout out and quick props to Xavier Woods, dressed up as Razor Ramon, the Outsiders, Scott Hall. Hey yo, he had the greased hair, and then Johnny Drip gets knocked down from a water gun. Really? But clearly, you're setting up a New Day versus the Miz and Morrison tag match. All right, if that's the way you got to set it up, that's the way you got to set it up.
I'm okay with that. Both those teams are entertaining. Keep them both on TV. I'm good to go with that.
Any other matches that you really either stood out to you or was just because for me personally, I'm actually highly disappointed Drew McIntyre won. I guess I'm glad if he's going to win. I guess I'm glad he won fast because it ended that storyline. But I really wanted the crowd to chant 3MB. I didn't get that reaction. And I wanted Jinder to win dirty or at least lose dirty. And so it would extend the storyline. Because I think that could be a great storyline, but instead we got just a quick 1, 2, 3. I was disappointed.
Well, right. There's so much more to do with Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre. And this whole sword thing, I mean, that's a waste. There's so much history there. They could easily expand that and make it much better than what it is now. I don't know why they're making Drew McIntyre unbeatable right now when obviously they're not going to reintroduce him into the championship picture and have another Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre championship bout. I mean, that might not be the bad way to go is to put those two together again at the championship bout, but we've seen it a bunch of times. But they're the top two there. I was disappointed in the Raw Tag Team Championship with AJ Styles, Omos, and RK Bro. I think there's so much in that they could do. And I knew that RK Bro has to win. They have to. But who are they going to take on after that? There's nothing left for them to do because all the tag teams in Raw are faces.
All right. Well, that's a great point. And because of that, that's what I was going to lead with the next. I don't have the exact dates memorized. You may or may not, but it doesn't matter. Coming up soon is the draft. Do you see any big switches? Because the ones I see like someone like American Alpha switching over, and I see Big E going to the Raw brand for me. And I don't see until Becky came back, I saw Seth Rollins going over. And I doubt they're going to move Bobby Lashley. The two big champions are about to cross those paths. But what do you would like to see, or what do you think is going to happen?
Well, obviously they need to mix some things up. I think they have to have Kevin Owens go back to Raw. Yeah. Kevin Owens is also a better heel than he is a face. So they really need him back over there and on the heel side. Probably, I mean, Drew McIntyre would be perfect as the face to go one-on-one with Roman Reigns. But Roman's dance card is full through WrestleMania next year, so they don't really have to do anything up top there since he's got Brock Lesnar to challenge him on that aspect of it. I guess you could go with the Mysterios coming back to Raw and providing the face aspect, but you need some heels, and I think you're right. American Alpha is like the perfect heel to come over and battle. RK Bro. I like RK Bro. I mean, I can't stand Riddle, but he's the perfect Mick Foley to the Viper's Rock. So it really does work. But now, I guess, are you going to split up AJ Styles and Omos?
I would.
Well, of course, AJ does better as a singles guy.
Let's see what Omos can do.
Right. But he needs a manager because he's got nothing on the mic. But you're going to have him as the giant that destroys people. I mean, who are you going to have AJ Styles go against? You're going to put him in a sequence against McIntyre since Styles is a heel and McIntyre's a face. You're gonna have Styles lose. So
AJ Styles could go SmackDown, and Omos could stay Raw.
That would work, but when you're talking about heels, I mean, your top heel is Roman Reigns, and your second heel is obviously Seth Rollins.
So now he's third tier.
He's third tier. He's not a third tier guy.
And he's not a third tier guy. So now you're saying he's going to be wrestling for the Intercontinental Championship against Shinsuke. And we've already seen that rivalry 1,000 times.
We have. It was good, but we've already seen it. We've had that.
Yeah. Just like I don't ever care to see Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn again.
Correct. Although you keep on Raw, you break up and have AJ Styles go against Damian Priest for the mid-level championship, whatever in the hell that's called. And you'd have to put Sheamus. I would put Sheamus back on SmackDown, team up with Cesaro, and let's have the Bar again. I love the Bar.
The Bar was the greatest tag team of all time. It topped the LOD, the Road Warriors. I mean, for me, that might be my number one all-time favorite tag team.
I wouldn't go the Road Warriors, dude. That's
like the there's my top two all-time favorite tag teams.
And well, I've also got Scott Hall. You've already mentioned Scott Hall, and what was the other guy's name?
Kevin Nash.
Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, man, they were a great tag team. So those are two of my favorite, but the Bar's right up there. And I like the Usos too. I think the Usos are a great tag team. I think what they got going on SmackDown is fantastic, but they're going to need somebody to go against. Just get Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio out of there. That's just horrible.
Overall, the SmackDown pay-per-view was what it was. Some good moments, some moments, some surprises. For a live crowd back, there were some big pops. But if this is supposed to be the number 2 pay-per-view only behind WrestleMania, you can say it may have not fully hit its mark, and I can understand that. But it's what it was. So Phil and I have just recapped SummerSlam for everybody.